Okay, so we're going to try and get a little bit more of the shape blocked out in this lesson. So still focusing on the head, I want to come up with something that looks different to what we see in a lot of other games. And that isn't to say that I'll be able to create anything unique or something that's never been seen before, but it's just the more common something is, the more likely it is to get compared to other games or other source material. So always try to be as original as possible, unless you're working to a brief. If you're working to the brief of like some client, you've got to stick to what they tell you to do, which is one of the reasons why I'm glad I don't work for clients, because most of them aren't very creative, even though they like to think they are. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw some shapes out of the back of this head. And I'm thinking of this guy as being sort of a little bit sort of dragon-like or draconian. And so with that in mind, if we actually draw out some horns, they won't look too out of place. So with a nice large brush you can get much more sort of sweeping curves. I have this idea of him sort of having almost like these blades coming out the back of his head. So I'll just draw these out as nice as I can. And we've got perspective turned off, which means that we are pulling out fairly straight from the back of the head. There's not going to be any warping, or minimal warping. Okay, so I want a nice curve, a nice sort of saber, almost like a saber tooth curve to it. But that looks good. So I'll just look at that with the mask off. And you can hide the mask, but that's not what I've done here. And just smoothing out. And I'm on the normal smooth at the moment. Haven't loaded up my stronger smooth. Now, even though I could sort of smooth this back out, I actually like this indentation here. Ignore the dog. If you can hear him barking in the background. Because there are a lot of teeth and claws, and not so many horns, but teeth and claws definitely have this this groove along the underside, the growing portion of the tooth or the claw. So I actually quite like that. So what I'll do is I'll bring back the rest of the mesh, because you can't remesh while you are have part of it hidden. I'm just going to draw out the mask there. There we go. Now the problem with this design is that it sort of looks a bit like an evil rabbit. That's alright, we're going to fix that up. We're going to make that sort of look better than that. And it may require that we change some of this design, but that's okay. So now I'm going to come back with the clay build-up. Of course, bring my brush size down a bit. I'm just going to block in some shapes here. And just sort of see, it's a rabbit with a headband. Just see what sort of shapes we can bring in, some sort of designs. And now, I don't like that mark there, so I'm just going to undo back to before I did that, because I want to keep that sort of fairly smooth. So that, like that. What I'm now going to do is bring in some more sort of smaller horns coming out this way, and that should hopefully get rid of that bunny ears look. So I will change back to move, and yeah, mask out an area. That'll do. With my move brush, I'm just going to bring this section out and back. I don't want this to be as pronounced as those blades at the back there. You can see that we've gone from it being sort of a bunny design to being more of a goat-like look now, because we've got horns and ears instead of just the rabbit ears. Don't want it to be quite so dramatic there. And let's see, I want this to be almost sort of shark tooth-like. Sort of sweep back, which of course sort of keeps closer to that design as well. So yep, I'll go with that. Bring my size down. Smooth that out a little bit. There we go. So now, if we look at him, you can see he's got that sort of design like that. And now I want to bring something out from here just to sort of balance off that curve that we've got going up the top there. And you can see that the face is out of balance now, so we're going to have to do something about that. But that's what this sort of freeform design is all about. It's just sort of coming in with different styles, and come up with something really cool looking, and it doesn't fit with the rest of your model, so you have to change the rest of your model. You just go with that, whatever is the coolest thing that you've come up with. So you can see that sort of that shape there. Looks really good with the masking on. Okay. So there we go. And that will do for the top and side of the head for now. I will smooth out some of that jaggedness there. In fact, I might actually come in the standard and develop a bit of a groove there. So it looks like this, sort of a flesh coming through, almost like the back of an ear. And unfortunately some of that jaggedness, I think, is just going to always come through. That's alright. This is about fleshing out the main shapes, not getting the fine details in. So now I want to have a look at the front of this head and see if we can balance this out. So the best way to do this is with broad sort of strokes. Don't be too precious about everything. No. unfortunately, if we have this sort of dome forehead, it gives it almost a sort of acute look from the side. But actually, other than the profile, it kind of works. I'm kind of liking that. That's not too bad. I want to move these horns out a little bit. Like that. And yeah, there's enough of an arch to the eyebrows here to give it a sort of a... do I like that? No. To give it more of a sort of a menacing look. And you can have something that's both sort of reminiscent of something cute and something menacing at the same time. That can be even more disturbing. So yeah, just try these things out. And this chin and neck, I need to bring this down a bit just so that it doesn't look like it's just stuck on there. And this entire chest needs to be sort of redone, of course. And those horns at the back are very sort of exaggerated. So I might just narrow them down, and that might help. If we look in perspective, just to see how it would look that way. Yeah, I don't mind that. And of course we'll be doing something with the back of the head here. Probably have some sort of spines coming down the back. Just to sort of add that character and that sort of look to it. So in the next lesson I'll be going on with the body.